Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the weird angle. I'm in the little she shed today. I just did some filming this morning for a book review that by the time this is out you probably would have seen. And I just started working on a personal project. I just thought I'd show you what I was doing just for extra video content over December because I'm getting busier and busier and I'm worried that I don't have enough content to give to you. So I came up with this genius idea, I know, roll your eyes at me, to make a personalised drawstring bag for every child of like my friends and family that we're buying Christmas presents for this year. Now I only have to make 7, but I thought that I would do them two-tone. I'm going to show you what I'm doing and then you'll see. But I just thought I would show you what I'm doing, sort of explain how I'm going to do it because I thought it might be useful to you. Okay, so this is what I'm going to make. So a two-tone drawstring bag with, I've got the ribbons on both sides, so when you pull them both, I find it easier for kids to pull them both and then it draws up. And it's got a piece that goes wraps around the bottom and then 2 pieces on the top. And then whichever one is the plainer piece, I'm going to put their names on. Now I was going to sew them, but now I'm getting closer and closer to Christmas. I am worried about time. So I do actually have a cricut. So I might just get vinyl and get it cut out on vinyl and then I can just iron it on. Because I was going to sew them all, but you have to do it first. Well, in my opinion, it's easier to do it first before you put it all together. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to prioritise making all the bags first, and then if I get time, I will just use the Cricut to put all their names on in vinyl because I think it'll just be so much easier. So I did the first one as an experiment just to check my measurements. But then the issue that I'm having is because I'm trying to use up like sort of like my fat quarters and stuff that I have. Some of them are bigger than others, so this is another one. And I'm trying to do it to like the sort of taste of each child, like sort of what they're into, and sort of what the presents I've got. So each one is going to be slightly different, which is fine, I guess, because they're not all going to be next to each other. But, you know, and it just takes a little bit longer. So essentially what I'm doing is if I lay this one out for you, you can see. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've got one larger piece in the middle that's the bottom, and then I've got 2 shorter pieces on the outside. I'm roughly aiming for a 30 by 30 sort of size. I think this one turned out a little bit longer than it is wider, but it's just a rough measurement. So once I've got my rough guide, that's what I'm cutting my fat quarters to. So I'm cutting all my pieces 32 centimeters wide, but then I'm aiming for around 35 centimeters minimum for the bottom piece, and then between 20 and 25 centimeters for the top pieces. Obviously aiming for 25, but if I can get more out of this bottom piece and less out of these ones, then I can do that as well. So these ones actually are going to be, this one is going to be a little bit different to the first one because I've got more fabric here and less fabric here. But it's fine. And then what I'm doing is I'm turning it inside out, sewing up the sides, and then how I do it is I leave a little gap here and then sew. So I'll sew up to here and just leave a little gap, mark that gap. And then once I've done my rolled hem, the gap is on the right side, and then that leaves room for a channel to put ribbons through. That's how I do it. So what I thought was I would just sew this next one with you, and then you've got another way of doing a little drawstring bag. So what I've done is I've just pressed the seams that I've joined these 2 away. So I always press them away towards the top. And then all you need to do when you're joining the side seams is just make sure that those seams are on top of each other so that when the bag goes round, it's not going to be like a massive difference. So I'm just going to lie those seams on top of each other, and then I just need to mark out my little channel. So how I normally do that is I make a rough sort of rolled hem to the size that I need it. And then I will just put like 2 pins where that hem is gonna sit, like that. And then what I'll do is I'll measure down from the top here and then do the same on this side so I get them in the exact same place. And then I would recommend, because I'm doing these on the overlocker, I would recommend just using your sewing machine to sew with your 10mm seam allowance so that you've got like a clear stopping and starting point with your sewing machine, because when you go on the overlocker you sort of have to taper it off and then you get this weird like curved bit, whereas if you use your sewing machine it keeps it all straight. So I'll just sew that now and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so just so you see what I've done, I've just used the sewing machine to mark that gap with my sewing machine, and now when I overlock it I can just do that and come off there, and it doesn't really matter what happens here because this is all nice and neat where it matters. And I've done that on the other side, so now I can use my overlocker just to whiz down these 2 sides, obviously leaving that gap. Sadly though I have to stop because I need to go and make lunch for my little man because he's going to be back any minute. So I will continue this vlog next time I'm in here. Okay, so this is as far as I've got. Ignore me wearing my massive puffer coat. It's really cold. It's like -2 here today and it's snowing outside and the shed was freezing cold, so I've got my massive puffer coat on, so you could probably hear me going like shh, 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 shh as I move, so I'm sorry about that. This is how far I've got now. I've just quickly overlocked those edges, and that's how, it's not always the neatest, but that's how I sort of like go off and come back on again when I'm doing stuff. And so you can see how important it is to have those bits lined up neatly so that where it's actually shown from the inside, that bit's straight, because you can see how much you sort of go on and off there. Anyway, that is how far I've got. So now what I do is leaving it inside out still, wrong sides out. I will press these side seams open and then fold down 1 and then fold down 2 and then cover up that gap, and then that's the gap showing from the front. So I'm just going to press that now, press these seams open. It just helps it lie flatter when you're doing the top rolled hem. And then I will do 1 roll and press, and then 2 roll and press, and I'll come show you. Okay, so that's what I've done so far. So fold down once, press, fold down twice, cover up that mark, and then from the inside, or the right side, that is the gap showing for the channel. So now that that's all pressed, I'm just gonna put a couple of pins in there and then sew it all the way around, sort of making that rolled hem, and then I can put my ribbon channel through. And there's the rolled hem. That's the right side. Wrong side. You want to sew nice and close to that edge so that there's more space in the channel, especially if you've got a slightly thicker ribbon. I'm actually using thinner ribbon, but you want to make sure that your channel is much wider than the ribbon that you're using, or at least, I don't know, like if the width of your ribbon is about 10mm wide, I'd want my channel to be at least 15mm, if not 20mm, because if it's too narrow, when it gathers up, the hole at the top's not going to close. Just a little tip for you. So now I can turn it the right way around and thread through my ribbons. And there you have it. That's my little 2-tone drawstring bags. 2 down, 5 to go, I think. So I better get cracking. I have temporarily turned the heater off so I can record this outro. I was warm enough that I took off my coat, and now the heater's off, I'm getting chilly again. So yeah, so here's my little tutorial. I just thought, because I was doing it at the same time, it might be valuable to you. I have actually got another drawstring bag tutorial with different measurements for a smaller version on my channel, which I will put a little card up here so you can go and watch that as well. It's got an applique element to it as well. But my plan is I am now just going to use the cry cut to cut vinyl personalised names on it, and then I'll just iron them on, because I'm running out of time and I've got loads of work to do still, and we're only, what's the date today? There's exactly 25 days until Christmas. So yeah, I need to crack on. I hope you found this useful. Give this video a thumbs up if you did, and if I've inspired you last minute to sew some drawstring bags for Christmas presents, I apologise in advance. If you've got more than 7 children to do it for, like me, don't start now. You'll get stressed. Unless you have more time. I have very little time to do this stuff. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. As a reminder, all my Patreon links are in the description if you want to just support my channel, or if you want to come and learn some free motion embroidery. I do monthly workshops over on there, and I will see you next week for another video. Happy handmade, everyone.